Hi folks, with Tacitus Today, your pushback channel. Thank you for joining this audio live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the globalist campaign at the moment that's going on all over the West, which is supposed to be fighting back against hate the racism and Nazis and Hitler and swastikas and it's everywhere. Everybody's a Nazi. But the problem is that this imaginary society that's supposed to be filled with Nazis and swastikas doesn't exist. It's a propaganda fabrication and an utter and total delusion. So what do you do when you have to try and convince people or pretend that we're surrounded by hate and Nazis and that? What you have to do is invent it. You have to make it up. You have to create fake events, or you create artistic. You do movies. You have museum pieces, cultural events that are supposedly warning and advising us of this omnipresent miasma of hate and racism and so on. And a lot of stuff's conflated. For example, if you disagree with mass migration, there's a lot of people in Europe, in the West, that think mass migration is just completely out of control. I mean, why would you have millions, gazillions of illiterate third world IQ 70 peasants coming to the West and claim this is to make up for a skills shortage? You wouldn't. Nobody would. But if you complain about it or even point it out, then you're filled with hate and you're a Hitler waving, Hitler worshipping, swastika waving Nazi and so on, which of course, again, is utterly absurd. But given that the globalists control the institutions and the media institutions and outlets, then they're able to push these lies with, an absolute sort of a wall of sound, if you like, and a wall of imagery to try and convince us that there are Nazis everywhere. But the problem is there isn't. There are no Nazis and there's no swastikas, and it's not there. So they have to invent it. And some of it's comical. I mean, there have been two events in Australia recently where just for the cameras are purely invented. I wouldn't be surprised if these people are all security officials or police officers or hired actors or something. Hired actors is probably my take on it, but there's all these people turn up in all these black uniforms and masks and black trousers. They're all the same trousers, all the same shirts, and all the same uniforms, if you like, and the black shoes that are all the same. So this is not how things would be in the real world. And they all parade around, and the cameras are always right there to capture it all, and they make these supposed speeches and parade up and down for the cameras. And this is supposed to be proof. They go, proof, Nazis with Hitler and swastikas and So there was one recently in Australia as well as one a little while ago, and again the same sort of exactly the same script, even though the events were sort of more than 1,000 kilometers apart. They were scripted exactly the same, with the same uniforms and the same drill, and they're marching in unison. These people, suggesting also that these people maybe have a police or military background of some sort, which again means that the state has put these people up to it. Now, an interesting thing recently was the supposed spokesman for the group got up and said, look, the mass migration is it's now at a stage, and has been for actually quite a while. It's now at a stage where these mass migrants are coming in to replace white people, to replace the indigenous population in jobs and in social housing and things like that. And that's not what it was intended to be. And so, whatever the mission creep, if you like, if it ever was to do with skills and so on, then it is no longer, and it's simply now a burden to the indigenous white population who are losing jobs and, again, social welfare benefits because of it. This is by the way, 100% legitimate concern. but because it is the concern of so many people, the authorities and the globalists are trying to now paint that, well, if you think that way, that means you're a Nazi, quite possibly Hitler thrice even. So this is so they're trying to steer the conversation away. If you believe that this is happening, even if it is happening, it doesn't matter. We say it's for a good cause, but if you either believe it's happening or think that it is happening and it's bad, then either way you're a Nazi. That's it. And so there's just an attempt to influence and steer the conversation. I've noticed all the media outlets in Australia that covered this, and it's been put on, well, YouTube's covering some of it, then all the comments have been switched off. Because most people are onto this now. They know that it's a false flag bullshit, and they are fully and 100% sympathetic with those views anyway. They can see what's happening around them. They're not these lifetime public servants or lifetime academics, with lifetime tenure who are well paid and living in their secure locations in all white neighbourhoods. And this is the rub, really. The people that are most supposedly in support of this mass migration are people who are not affected at all by it. They live in 99% white neighbourhoods, and the only time they ever interact with non-white people is when the guy comes along to mow the lawn or clean the swimming pool. That's the only time they ever interact with them. So outside of that, all the people that when they have parties or dinners or barbecues or something, there's no brown or black people at those. It's 100% white, whereas they're sitting there at their 100% white in their 100% white neighbourhood, screaming out that everyone else is a racist. The hypocrisy of that's just mind-boggling. Nonetheless, I've noticed that around Canada and Britain, United States, and all the major cities, that there's a real push at the moment to push back against hate. There's a real coordinated, it's a marketing campaign, let's call it what it is, campaign that's just billed and ginned up as we're fighting hate, we're fighting Hitler, we are fighting back against Hitler. And if you have any problem with mass migration, anything at all, it means that you hate black and brown people. That means you're a fascist. It also means, therefore, you're a Nazi, which means you are Hitler. Hitler thrice. Where's your swastika? And so again, it's all a fabrication. The incidence of hate, or supposed, given now hate is all encompassing. For example, if you think a brown person is a lousy, I don't know, dancer or something like that, or that some book they wrote or a poem they wrote's crap, if you believe that, then you're guilty of hate. So hate's now becomes so broad a term, like fascist or Nazi or this sort of thing, that it can be applied to anyone for anything on the basis of even the slightest disagreement with whatever view you may have. So now the mass migration into the West has been heavily ginned up in the last 18 months or so, 2 years to 18 months, heavily ginned up. I mean, really, but in Australia, they're bringing in over 500,000 people in just a year, for goodness sakes. And when there's a population of 26 million. So they're bringing in masses of people here, and there aren't the jobs for them. They're not needed. They're not wanted. They don't have the skills. Most of them are completely illiterate in their own language, let alone English. And yet the mass migration. So there's very reasonable concerns by it, and the people don't want it. But the government is not only ignoring but defying the wishes of the people. So this idea that you're a Nazi if you don't like it or you disagree, or even if you've got questions about mass migration, and this is what they want to do. You have any questions, anything at all, even if you are losing your jobs to black and brown people. Listen, if you have that view or you're worried about it, you're a Nazi. That's it. And so they have these uniformed actors parading up and down, pretending to be Nazis, just so they can do hit pieces on the supposed Nazis, which we're told are just everywhere, lurking under every bed and every closet. What a fucking joke. You've been with Tassos today at your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.